What's up, Scyushi Squad? We back again with some more Trove to Trove, and today I'm gonna be doing that video I promised you guys a while back. Most of all, this is a video from me, so that it's a lot easier to end up referring you guys to this video so that you understand that there are basically only two builds in Trove. Okay, so I wanted to have this video most of all just because I constantly get the question of how should I build my character. It's not complex at all. Okay, there are basically two different builds that you can end up doing in the game. You either are all damage or you're a tank. There's not much instances that call for a tank in this game, honestly speaking, guys. There's not even many classes that can end up successfully being a tank, just because the way that Trove works, enemies just damage you so much, and it's just almost always going to be more beneficial to kill the enemy as quickly as possible so that you're as efficient as possible. And ultimately, that's why you're building all your characters towards damage, okay? I'm not awkwardly editing this in just because I forgot to say it at the beginning of the video, but if you are new to Trove, you can use that sign-up link that's down in the description, and then anything you end up buying out of the cash shop, I'll make a percentage of it. It doesn't increase the price of anything, it's just an awesome way that you can support me by literally playing this game that we all love so much. Thank you so much for doing it if you do it, and thanks to Game Ago for giving me the opportunity. Back to the video. If you've built your character towards damage properly, you will not have any health, because that's kind of the trade-off, is you can either have health or you don't have health. So the way that it works in terms of the gem stats that you're going for, I'm gonna have another video that will talk about gems as a whole, how you'll level them up and stuff like that. I've already got older tutorials on this, but I do plan on doing an upgraded tutorial, so if you guys want to wait for that. But for today, we're gonna talk as if you guys know what you're thinking or know what you're doing. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about pearls, we're talking about gems that are completely fully augmented, and yada yada yada. So a tank build, which I can't really give you guys an example, it's extremely self-explanatory. It literally is going to be you putting max health on all of your gems. So you can get max health, and then there's max health percentage, and you basically just want to have those on every single one of your gems. And I don't even know what you want to have as another stat. It doesn't really matter, because the whole point is that you are trying to build yourself as a tank. I've seen some people that are freaks and have like 28 million health or something like that. Like, I don't know what the highest amount of health you can have in this game is, but it's crazy. And on top of that, obviously you'd change up your gear to have max health, your ally would have max health, so on and so forth. But more importantly, we'll be talking about the damage build. The way that you're going to end up building your character with a set of either physical or magic gems is all of your empower gems. You basically want to have those the exact same stats. So sorry, I was in the wrong tab there. So as far as just the gem stats themselves, you're gonna have all of your empower gems to have 2 pearls into damage. So that's gonna be physical damage, magic damage, whichever class you're using. 1 pearl into crit damage, no pearls into crit hit. You want to make sure that you have all these stats on your empower gems, because empower gems are going to give more stats than your lesser gems, and ultimately you're already working towards that damage. And having crit hit on your empower gems is really important, just because it's going to give you that much more percentage, because you're ultimately trying to end up getting to 100% crit hit, and then your raw damage and your crit damage are basically going to complement each other to a degree, so you kind of just build from there. Now for your lesser gems, we're going to go by a 3x3. That's what I usually like to refer to it as, where you're going to have 3 of your lesser gems be the exact same pearl stat value as your empower gems, and then you're going to have another 3 of them that are going to end up being 2 pearls into crit damage, 1 to magic damage, and then crit hit. Now, here's the thing. Depending on the character that you're playing, you should end up being at over 100% crit hit. There's no reason for that, so you can easily swap your crit hit off of any of your lesser gems into max health, just so that you have a little bit more survivability, but ultimately you're not going to have much. Now, for the empower gems that I like going for, Cubic Curtain is really good just because it gives you survivability. Myron Mojo I just kind of have. It's not really that great, but ultimately Pyro Disc is going to be one of your best ones for just speed farming. You can also end up using I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. It's not really that important outside Pyro Disc, honestly speaking. Cubic Curtain's got a lot of survivability. Explosive Epilogue is really good if you're a ranged character because it can cause enemies to explode, which just ultimately gives you more damage. And then for your class gem ability, rule of thumb that I like to do, if you can afford it, mind you, is to try and have your class gem the same elemental type so that you can very easily, like I could swap all my Draco's gems to any other magic character in the game because all of my classes have my class gem as an air gem. Right? So then for the cosmic gems, they're going to end up being a little bit different because obviously these bad boys are giving you the light stat value, which is extremely important. So you're going to want to roll your lesser gems and your empowered gem, cosmic gems, until you end up having 3 pearls into light. The extra stats are just going to be crit damage and magic damage or physical damage, depending on your class again, just so that you have that most optimal damage possible. People might try to argue and say that you can slightly change your stats to end up getting more coefficient or slightly better stats or whatever. I'm telling you guys, it barely makes a difference, okay? Anybody that argues about saying like, oh, you know, this build's not absolutely perfect, it's like, it really doesn't matter in a game like Trove. We're talking about literally only like maybe 1,000 more damage by slightly changing your gem stats around and stuff like that, which doesn't really make that much of a difference when you're talking about the big scheme of things, because we're pretty much just killing everything as fast as possible anyways, outside of the super duper deep delves and maybe taking on Leviathans. Everything else in the game you'll be able to take on no problem. So for the empowered cosmic gem, you definitely want to get Berserk Battler. It's pretty much the best one because as you end up damaging enemies, this will end up giving you up to 750 more light value. And light value, for those of you guys that don't know, just because, you know, this is a video talking about the 2 different builds in the game, but I know that the light stat can end up being very confusing for some people. The light stat is basically armor penetration because the enemies in the game will have a dark stat value, and that basically is their armor. Okay, so they have the armor stat, we get the armor penetration, and that pretty much covers it. So hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, I would appreciate if you would smash like, sub for more, buy the merch you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching. Sayonara and stay epic, gamers.